Should I close the door?
Probably.
Okay.
The video is likely sensitive.
This way.
Likely
Oh.
sensitive.
So, thank you
Hi.
for coming.
Oh,
Nice
are
to
you
meet
recording?
Yeah,
Okay.
we are, right? Yep.
Nice to meet you too. Thank you for asking for this meeting.
Thank you for coming. I brought you a cupcake, my favorite kind.
Nice, thank you.
I stopped by today. Hopefully you like coconut.
It's a great gesture.
So, sorry, excuse me. Could you tell me a little bit about yourself? I know you're into surfing, live in beautiful Hawaii.
Yeah, surfing is a passion of mine. I love surfing and I've always been into surfing. It's a family pastime of mine, so I have a long history with surfing and for a while I was just bumming around on the surf with me and my board, and eventually we decided to make something of it, and here we are with this company a
Yeah.
few years later.
That's
It's great.
I mean, you're very lucky. I also love surfing and lived in Hawaii for a while. Love living there. Love the culture.
How long have you been surfing for?
I've surfed my whole life, so over 20 years. But
Awesome.
you definitely have the best surfing situation where you are because of the warm
Yeah.
water.
Yeah, we're pretty
I
lucky.
hate having to wear a wetsuit here.
It's very cold in the California beaches, from what I hear.
So, what inspired you? What inspired you to start the company, and what exactly was your purpose with your company?
Like I said, I was just surfing for a really long time, and I loved surfing, but eventually a young person has to get their chops, right, and start a career, and I didn't really want to do something that wasn't authentic to me, and I also don't feel like I need to do things that are not authentic to me. I believe in igaki. Have you heard of igaki?
Mm.
It's a Japanese philosophy that combines like what you're meant to do and what you love to do and a couple other things. And if you find the middle piece of that, you find what you're meant to be successful in. And so I felt like surfing is what I love to do, right? So the question was just, how can I find what people need? And it turned out that there is a huge community of surfers, not just in Hawaii, but all over the world, and they want to use the internet to be connected. There's a currency that goes along with that culture that comes with some of the gear that I like to sell, and some of the postcards that we produce. And so out of those commodities, we've made a community around surfing. So I still, I get to work in my passion, but I also still get to engage my passion and
So-
engage other people who are interested in it.
I guess I may have been,
What about you? What brings you to this table?
well, let's, real quickly, I just want to clarify some things with you, because if I'm understanding you correctly, you have some services, including selling some goods on the website and other types of connections between the surfing community that I was not aware of. I thought that you basically were a website to inform people about where the tides were or what the tides were. And I'm assuming you do
We do that, yeah.
And then on top of that, you do these other things as well.
Yeah, because like I said, it started out as sort of a surfing hub, but then we realized that there were all these currencies that we could use to connect surfers in the community and profit a little bit off of it, right? Because doing the forecasting is good for the local population, and the more we get the surf tides for more areas, that's good for those surfers, but how can we connect more globally? So our merchandise sort of fills that need, and our postcards are a good way to like connect different locations around the world, because we sell postcards from different locations.
Okay, and so just to clarify that, I also thought it was more of just a local Hawaii thing, but you are actually like a global type of
Like I
Business.
said, so our forecasting is our local surfing conditions, but there's always the possibility for more expansion. But our surfing gear and our postcards are global enterprises, and they connect us to the surfing community globally.
Okay.
And as you said, Hawaii is sort of a hub for surfing, so.
And your website is beautiful. Who designed the website?
I did, actually.
Do you have a background in web design or?
I am a guerrilla designer. I don't have a college degree in designing, but I've always liked surfing. It's just something I kind of like to dabble in
And
on the side.
have you designed other websites, or is this?
No, this is the only one. I've designed some small projects, but this is the only notable website that I've done.
So let me talk about the reason that I'm here. I think that you're aware I also have a business, and what we do is website design and e-commerce. However, we obviously have very similar web domain names. And if I've, in my investigations, if I've looked at your business properly, our business is much larger than yours, and we're not a huge business, but we're growing pretty rapidly. We we don't have a ton of cash, but we're starting to expand pretty rapidly, and we actually have a potential investor that's very interested, but the investor and our company are concerned about the confusion between the website names. And so we would like to, so first of all, obviously our businesses don't compete with each other. There's no issue where we're trying to buy your business or put your business out, put you out of business.
So what do you do? What is your business?
So we design websites, and then we deal in e-commerce. So we do some currency exchange, work with some banks dealing with their exchanges, via the internet, but nothing to do with the actual surfing industry or selling surfing products.
Mm-hmm.
And
I can see how that would be confusing.
yeah, so what we would love to do is acquire your domain name, and understandably that puts you in a position with your business, and we would like to work something out with you to acquire your domain name to put an end to that confusion, while at the same time, helping you to promote your business and make sure that your traffic still comes to your website. So
you want the domain name, but you don't want the business itself, right?
Exactly.
You're just looking
Right.
for the domain name.
that's exactly it, is
Okay.
we just want to either put an end to the domain name, or when someone goes to that domain name, they're directed to our site instead. And one thing,
Has this been problematic for you so far, this confusion in names? Because, our business has been around for quite a while, and our people know who we are, so we have not experienced any trouble with having your domain name. As far as affecting our business, there are like other issues that go along with obviously someone having the same name as us, but so far our business has not been affected.
so I would question if that is entirely true. And I'm not accusing you of lying. I'm simply saying, because of how things work on the internet, it seems more likely that somebody's going to look up a .com rather than a .net. And so I would think that some of your traffic has been directed to us before they realized, realized they were at the wrong site, and then went and looked up your name to find your.
That's possible, but our site's been around longer, so we have a bit more of a base that knows the .net domain. So
When you bought your site, did you try to get the .com?
we weren't interested in it. We were just doing local stuff, so we bought the cheaper domain at the time.
Because our domain name was actually purchased quite a bit before yours. We've been using it actually longer than you.
We have a lawyer who's been looking into this, and she says that we've definitely purchased our site before your site.
Well,
And like I said, as far as from a business side, we have not noticed an impact.
so since you
From
brought it
those
up,
two
I would
names.
like to address the lawyer.
Okay.
And our lawyers are kind of chomping at the bit to just litigate over this. And we do have the means to do that and do fairly extensive litigation. And we also have been guaranteed by our attorneys, who are pretty experienced in this, that we would be able to get the domain name. That's not the interest here. The interest, that is an option, and I don't want to have that as being a looming threat right now. To us, our interest is you've done something good, you're doing something in a community that I'm interested in, and that I personally, as one of the owners of the company, is interested in. And I'm not trying to really butt heads and have that type of confrontation.
Well, I understand that's where your lawyers are coming from, but our lawyers feel very similarly about the case, and they feel like our position as the little dog in the case would make a very strong argument for
I
a jury.
understand that, but again, I would like to set the lawyers aside, because lawyers want to litigate.
Yes.
And my real goal here would be to resolve this without any litigation, find something that you're happy with and that we're happy with. And for instance, and I would like to express to you that we make substantially more money than your company does. However, like I said, we are pretty much cash strapped, but we have a pretty substantial investment looming over this domain name thing.
Sort of an interesting position for you to take, that you have a lot of money, but that you're cash strapped.
Well, because we've invested all of our money in growth, and so now we're at a position where we need to bring in these investors to keep the growth going. So it's kind of like, it is an interesting position to be in.
So wouldn't the purchase of this domain be another growth movement for you? I mean, it seems to me that this would be in line with that.
It is a growth movement in that by ending that confusion, then this investor is willing to put their money into our company. So again, it wouldn't be a growth move such as like we're gonna use that domain name. It's the only growth movement for it is to secure the investment money for our company.
So so you don't want the name other than to clear out somebody else using the name. You're not planning on
Right.
using it yourself.
We're not planning on using it
And
ourselves.
in clearing out the name, you're securing an additional investor, is that what I'm
Exactly.
hearing?
That's it.
That you need to move growth beyond just the securing of the domain name, or to secure the domain name?
No, we need to secure the domain name before the investor will invest their money.
Okay,
So that's where we're at. Our investor is not comfortable investing the money with this potential confusion between domain names, which is a pretty insignificant thing to us, but again, the investment is pretty significant, and so we're trying to do what we can do. And I personally am one of the owners of the company, and I am not interested in litigation. I have the attorneys that obviously get paid to litigate. That would cost, I feel like we can resolve this for less money than it would cost me to pay those attorneys to litigate this. And like you said, there's no guarantee. Both of us have attorneys saying the same thing. We're gonna win, and there's no guarantee there.
mm-hmm.
So what I propose to you is that we offer to buy your domain name from you and help you, again, since we are in web design and e-commerce, maybe help you come up with a new domain name that captures the essence of your business a little bit more, even like worldwidesurf.com or Hawaii Surf, something that captures the essence of your actual business to help your business grow, and have it be a .com, because I'm sure you're aware that advertisers are 80% more likely to advertise on a .com than a .net. and so help you draw in some more advertising, profits. And also, I think we would be willing to, at least for the foreseeable future, put a link on our website to direct your traffic to the new site. So that if your customers did come to our site, they would have an obvious automatic way of accessing your new site.
I'm definitely willing to talk, but I can tell you up front that I'm sure that it's true that your company makes a lot more money than mine, but my company makes a lot more money than I've ever felt like I needed to make.
Mm-hmm.
And so while you probably are making more, I'm more than content with what we're bringing in. So changing the domain name to bring in more advertisements is not necessarily my priority. My real priority here is making sure that my community can still find me, that my community still recognizes the brand, and that I still have the freedom to, if you're not going to take the business, then, take the business and move it in the direction that I want to. Those things are far more interesting to me. And to be honest, selling the domain name sounds like a lot of work for me, because as of now, I don't need anything from the sale. So I'm definitely willing to talk to you about selling, but it needs to be worth the time and expense for me to go through the process of changing this and dealing with our community having to reorient themselves around a new brand and a new name. So that's something that's really important to us.
And I think
websurfer.net.
I think that if you grow larger, then we are going to run into more conflict between our domain names, and so that's going to weaken the brand as it is right now for both of us. And secondly, I feel like you're saying that you're making, initially you told me you decided you needed to do something kind of
I needed to stop just surfing and
right,
pay for my rent.
And I tend to not believe that money is not important.
I can understand how a CEO of a business would feel that way.
Well, aren't you a CEO of a business?
Yeah, I'm a CEO of a surfing company. The surf and the community is my priority. Like I said, as long as I'm making enough to survive and honoring what the history of surf and my experiences with surfing, then I'm content. That's really what I'm here for.
I've surfed for a long time and don't ever recall in my history surfing ever discussing domain names as part of the culture, or even discussing websites for that matter. So
yeah, but the folks who know us well and participate in our community, and those are the folks that we're trying to maintain our relationship and our brand.
Yeah, and I understand that. I understand that, and for us, obviously that's a concern of ours also, to maintain our brand. Our brand is a completely different brand than yours, but and as far as time commitment, like I said, we are a web development company, and we're willing to shoulder as much of the time commitment or work commitment to help you rebrand or redirect your traffic, or kind of make your community aware of the changes and help you in those ways. That to me, that isn't an issue. We're willing to do anything we can in that regard to help you make sure that your brand and your community are still connected.
Because it would be it's a real fear of mine that all of the work and the blood and the sweat and the tears that I put and the years of building this site, they might be lost because I changed my name and people don't know where to find me. The ones that have used us. It's a really pressing concern of mine. And it's far more important to me than just the number. So with that in mind,
You know, we've been really successful helping other web companies brand and expand their brand and help small, you know, very small, what I like to call mom and pop companies grow into larger companies and have an established brand. And I think that your fear, you know, although I fully understand your fear, I think that we have the resources to help you overcome those challenges. And that if you have the solid community that you say you have now, I think that we can do the things necessary to reach out to that community directly and to help you further kind of build on the community that you already have to expand your business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, expansion sounds like a lot of work to me, you know, and so I hear you, and it all sounds really great, but I'm definitely at a point where I love my community and I want to maintain it, but I want to make sure I can get to the surf every day. And the more this business grows, even at its rate now, it's growing phenomenally. We're getting a whole lot of attention right now, and I am very concerned, as much as I am about my community, about making sure that my time.
Well, if that is an issue for you, you know, part of the services of our company, we can offer to also actually take over the management of the site, you know.
Okay.
If that's something that interests you. In initially talking to you, I felt like you wanted to be real hands-on with it.
I definitely want to be connected to the community, and but I want to have a lot of autonomy in what I do, and I'm sure, as you know, as you become the CEO, your responsibilities increase, and your freedom to do and choose decreases because you constantly have to be delegating.
Right.
Right. Sure. My talent is web design. You know, this site has gotten the attention it's gotten because initially I was able to put a lot of energy into just designing it, and as it grows bigger and I have to, you know, monitor staffing and make sure the e-commerce is running and keep the taxes up and things like that, I become more distracted from the things that brought me to this in the first place, which was surfing and bringing the community together and honoring my history.
So those are all things our company can handle, and that's kind of a second negotiation over here on this side, is we could make an arrangement where we handle all those things for you for some share of your company, you know. But let's set that aside for just 1 second. And I would like to touch on that you said you do have an interest in web design.
Well, like I said, I was the one who did the original
And we're
design.
interested in you as a web designer. And so, you know, we had initially discussed in our company that your web design work is excellent.
Thank you.
And if it's something that you're interested in putting more time into, we could also offer you a position with our company to work remotely from Hawaii doing web design, and then we could maintain the e-commerce part of the company that you have going, kind of maintain the growth of that company, and you could still have a hand in it, you know, when you want, but you could be kind of removed from the delegation position of we could handle making sure the site is running smoothly.
Okay, you know, we have a lot of good ideas on the table, so I think it's probably time to talk some figures a little bit. To tell you the truth, like, you folks approached me and I was not particularly interested in selling, and for all the reasons I've stated, like, you know, my life is really about the surf, man, and I'm not trying to get distracted by that. And so in talking with my lawyer and discussing our options, and my initial feeling is that I would not sell for less than $1 million. But if you're willing to throw in these concessions and help me, you know, keep the culture going, honor the work that I've done here in the history that I have with surfing, and maintain that, and help me maintain my autonomy while keeping the site going, we can trade off some of those things for financial value. So my starting offer to you is $1 million, but I'm hearing that you have some great alternatives on the table that can mitigate that, so I want to hear what you think those are valued at.
So, well, I would like to say we're not gonna pay $1 million. And I'm not in a position to pay $1 million. The long and the short of it is, maybe in the long run, the acquisition of the domain name could be worth $1 million to our company, but it certainly is not right now and not in the foreseeable future. That's just not a realistic number.
Well, I mean, if you factor in the potential litigation costs as well as the loss of the investor for this site, you know, that those are extra value that a domain name would not necessarily traditionally
Right.
carry with it. And that's why I said that's my starting offer, because I wasn't interested in selling. But if you're willing to use some of the things we've talked about to mitigate that, I'm willing to bring that down, but I want to hear what you think.
Well, that's what I want. I would like to hear what you think. So let's just, I just want to be clear, we won't pay $1 million. However, we will put these other things on the table. And so as a starting figure from your end, if we were to maintain the website and maintain the growth of the company for you and do the delegation responsibilities, and aside from, we've also talked about if you would like a position working with the company, but let's set that aside for a minute and only look at what if we take over the maintenance of this website and free your hands of that.
And run a marketing campaign to direct.
Right. Do everything to maintain your
I mean,
community.
the thing is, you're the one who runs these kinds of services. I don't know what they cost, so I'm not sure how to compare that and bring the value down, because so that's your expertise. You know, I just
Yeah.
know where I stand on what my needs are, and the truth is, like, I don't need to sell.
Well, the value of your company right now, as we can see it, is less than $100,000 a year. And so then to want to sell your
It's
domain
definitely
name,
valued at more than that right now.
as I can see from your taxes for the company and from the income, it looks like the company actually makes just over 50,000, has made just over 50,000 a year.
We're grossing a few times more than that.
So again, by a few times more, then I'll throw out, fine, if the business was worth $200,000, the domain name, we would normally, to do what we're talking about, we would become a 50% shareholder in the company, a 49 or a 50% shareholder in the company. There's obviously a situation where you would want to still maintain control over the company, and we would take 49% to let you maintain control. And so it's a little, that would not be in a negotiation for that company's domain name normally. It would be them approaching us saying, look, exactly what you're saying, I want more time surfing, this thing has grown bigger than I thought it was going to or whatnot. We would like to continue the company and continue the community there, but we don't want to have to be so hands-on with it. Would you be willing to, offer your services? And we would then do a deal to acquire a percentage of that company. And the percentage would be, if we're, you've built up to here and now we're going to maintain it from here on out, and literally you don't have to do anything except for collect your 50% and come to shareholder meetings or whatnot, right? So that's kind of
Well, I don't
what
want, again, like I said, I want to be able to do design, and I still want to have some level of control. It's just I don't want to be so bogged down with a lot of the day-to-day kind of management stuff.
Right, and
So
again,
it's
as
definitely not
a
in that
50 or
situation.
51% shareholder, right, you still are in control of what you can do with your site. So, you still have that on the table. At the same time, you've gotten this to the point where it's like there's not a lot of design work left here. and if you wanted to do design work
Until we do
for
redesign,
yourself,
that's true.
for other stuff, or do redesign, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
If you wanna design other sites, or you wanted to come and help with us design sites, that's a different thing, but for this one, it's kind of where it needs to be to go, and we're gonna put a different domain name on it, but the site would literally be exactly the same, right?
So it wouldn't involve a whole lot of work on your part.
It wouldn't involve, we didn't know that you would want our service that way. We initially were just attempting to just get the domain name. It doesn't involve a ton of work on our part. It involves what we regularly do in our business anyways. And like I said, part of the work on our part would be to draw advertisement to your site to generate more profit from it, and things like that, maintain the site, update new products you want to put on the site, things of that nature. So initially, again, we valued the company at less than $100,000. We thought this was something that you kind of on a whim developed, and it has taken off for you. We thought offering you $50,000 for the domain name was a really, and then directing the traffic to your new site so that you could continue your community,
I mean, a 20th of my offer is a pretty steep drop for just some relatively simple, domain switches and management. It's a huge, huge difference.
Right, that is exactly
Yeah.
what it is. It's a relatively simple domain switch, and you're asking $1 million for it, and that's just unreasonable.
But again, it's a inconvenience for your company, and there are the investor questions that are tied up for you, and I'm very content with my company the way it is, and so that's why, and my lawyers are telling me that $1 million figure is a very reasonable amount, and so that's why I'm more than willing to talk to you and very interested in what you have to say, but going down to $50,000 just for some very standard, management of traffic.
I mean, I don't
That's
understand
a
how
pretty
you
big
would
drop.
shoulder the litigation fees over the couple years of litigation when your company doesn't make enough money to do that.
I mean, again, you underestimate our revenue fairly heavily, and second of all, we are not anticipating a whole lot of expenses on litigation in
Oh.
this,
Okay.
or work on our part. Our lawyers are very enthusiastic about our case and very confident about their chances of
I
winning.
mean, I'm sure that they are.
And
and
they're
that-
willing to do it
that
at
sounds
little to no
great.
cost or expense for us,
Okay.
so.
I mean, that, if that's the preferable route to a person who is supporting the surfing community,